told you we were going to talk about wholeness today. Have you noticed that everything's just tied right in with that? Our music and everything? You'd almost think that there was a intelligence active in the universe, whose name is Amy. Would you breathe with me, please? Take it in. And again. And one more time. Something very mystical happens when we breathe together. Inspire, inspiration, when we do that on purpose and together. So as I said, this spiritual principle of wholeness, it's been on my mind pretty recently for a couple of different reasons, one of which I'll tell you about today. Wholeness, I didn't realize how often we use that phrase in our music and in our vision statement and everything until this morning. It's one of the cornerstones of our teaching. That because each of us is made of the essence of the divine, which is whole, perfect, and complete, then because we are part of it in reality, we are whole, perfect, and complete as well. Right now, where we are, not when we lose the weight, not when we find the soulmate, not when we bought the house or got the job or cleaned the garage or gotten the degree or made the perfect meal or initiated the divorce or got married or had the baby. We are whole, perfect, and complete exactly as we are right now. We don't need to add anything to it to make us all right. Are you with me? Okay. Because what that means is that our essence, that light, just like in this picture, I just love that picture, that light, our nature, our soul, our spirit, our usness. Boy, that sounded good when I was preparing that yesterday. Our usness is already whole. So we're going to take a look at some of the dictionary definitions of wholeness, because what I think is that once we understand what it means and once we really can apply it to ourselves, we can see ourselves as it. I named this talk Living as Wholeness. Walking through life as wholeness. Because ultimately, isn't that what we want? Ultimately, don't we want to live our lives as wholeness, feeling whole, perfect, and complete? Not just saying it, not just giving it lip service, but actually being it and living as it? Yes? Yeah, okay. So here are some of the definitions. Comprising the full quantity, amount, extent, number, etc., without diminishment or exception, entire, full, total, containing all the elements properly belonging, complete, undivided in one piece, and not broken, damaged, or impaired. Now, those are all really good definitions for what we're talking about today, right? All of them pertain to this idea of spiritual wholeness, but the one I want to talk about today is the last one. Not broken, damaged, or impaired. I don't know what it is that we in our human incarnation, spiritual beings, but having this human experience, why is it that we spend so much time contemplating and affirming our brokenness? It really does seem like a lot of us put so much focus on what's wrong with us instead of acknowledging and celebrating what is right with us, which is infinitely more. And yet, our default setting, our habitual thinking is, what's wrong with me? Why aren't I? Why am I? Why can't I just? And the more we habitually think about it, the more we feel unhealthy and unhappy, which perpetuates the myth that we are somehow broken or damaged or impaired. So it becomes this vicious cycle. Unless we discipline. I hate that word, don't you? We discipline ourselves to stop the cycle and focus on our wholeness instead. And the main way that we do that, lots of tools, I'm going to give you tools today, but the main way we do that is to first just recognize and to accept that we are in fact whole. That we are whole. It is our natural state of being. It is our spiritual truth that we just somehow forget. And no amount of self-recrimination, no amount of habitual thinking can make it untrue. We are whole. Put your hand right here and say, I am whole. Now say it like you mean it. That's right. Woo-hoo. So earlier this week, we all experienced that lunar eclipse, right? Called the super blood wolf dog coyote red, orange, yellow moon, right? It was cool though. Did you go out? I could see it from my deck. I mean, it was actually really cool. Let me tell you what the definition of an eclipse is. I'm going to tie it in, trust me. An astronomical event that occurs when an object is temporarily obscured, either by passing into the shadow of another body or by having another body pass between it and the viewer. That's what an eclipse is. So when the eclipse occurs, nothing is happening to the object, nothing was happening to the moon or the man in the moon. Nothing was happening. It's just that it was temporarily obscured by the sun. Think about that. Think about that. Now I'm going to show you something that a friend of mine posted on Facebook the day after the eclipse. The moon is a reminder that no matter what phase I'm in, I'm still whole. Will I repeat it? I'll repeat it one more time. No matter what phase I'm in or what is temporarily obscuring my light, I am still whole. Our founder, Ernest Holmes, wrote this: there is a light at the center of everyone. This light is never obliterated, but it does seem that it is often obscured by various reasons. There is a light at the center of everyone, and it's not going to go away any more than the moon went away because the shadow of the sun passed in front of it. So part of the work that we have as spiritual beings living in a material world. Who did that song? Live in a material world. No, God, rock and roll, not Madonna. The Police. Madonna. But we are spiritual beings living in a material world. Okay. Our job is to learn how to transcend those things that are blocking our light, to rise above those things that are blocking our light. Because here's the bottom. We live in a material world. We live in a human world. So we are going to have material things that appear to obscure our wholeness. We have these bodies, these vehicles that our soul is driving, and our bodies don't always act like we want them to. We have relationships with people who also have bodies, and those people don't always act like we want them to, do they? We have politicians who also have bodies who don't act like we want them to, do they? We have traffic and weather situations that don't always act like we want them to. We have experienced financial situations that don't always act like we'd like them to. So before we wake up, like we're waking up, we think that these things are limiting us and they are defining us. And we go through life thinking that life is unfair or it's imbalanced or it's somehow out of our control. But as we begin to wake up, like we're doing, and we wake up to our true nature, which is that we are whole, we realize that we can use our thinking. This is the whole basis of our teaching. We can use our thinking to change our conditions. Yes? Let me tell you what else Ernest Holmes said. He said, as we become aware of the fact that we are confronted by no limitation other than the ones we set for ourselves, this does not mean that we have the power to command the revolutions of the planets or set the mountains in their places or create the oceans and the rivers, but we can control our actions and reactions in and to life. In our personal world of experience, we are certainly given the privilege to be happy or unhappy, to be whole or incomplete. So there it is. We live in a material world. We are going to have material conditions. We're like spirit in this heavy, dense, physical world. And sometimes it can be hard, challenging to navigate. But it is up to us how we are going to respond and react to those conditions which are going to be in our life because we are spirit having a physical experience. So it is up to us how we are going to use our thinking, how we're going to use how we walk through the world to either change or transcend them. Is this making sense? It's making sense to me. Okay. So we have the choice to continue to be stuck in conditions. Anybody know anybody who's stuck in conditions? Yeah. 4 people. Rest of you are so enlightened. So we have the choice to continue to be stuck in our conditions or to reveal our wholeness by rising above them. So then the question becomes how? How? It's a good question, isn't it? I don't know. I wish I could say it was easy. Wish I could say, oh, just change your thinking, change your life. It's simple. And I wish I could say that once we learn how to do it, we just automatically do it all of the time. But that wouldn't be honest. The honest answer is it isn't always easy. And sometimes we forget what we know, and we end up stuck again. Yeah? So the best that we can do in this material world is to continue to work at it so that it becomes, if not automatic, it becomes habitual. So I'm going to give you a personal example. As many of you know, I have been clean and sober for over 30 years now. Thank you. At the time of getting sober, walked into my first AA meeting on March 19th, 1986. I never, ever thought that I would be able to put together 3 days of not drinking or using, let alone 33 years. And yet, somehow, one day at a time, it's a cliche, but it's a powerful cliche. I stopped drinking, and I stayed stopped. It became my habit, and I don't even think about it anymore. I don't even think about it anymore. More recently, I also gave up eating processed sugar. Total addiction of mine. Thank you. Thank you. Out of control. Out of control sugar eating. And if you don't think that sugar is an addiction and a drug, try stopping. It was so much harder for me than alcohol because everything has sugar in it. Ketchup has sugar. Salad dressing has sugar. Bread, milk, everything has sugar in it. So, oh my God, did I have to apply one day at a time. Sometimes it was 1 hour at a time. Sometimes it was approaching lunch, and I said, just let me get to noon and not eat sugar, and then we'll renegotiate. I bargained with myself. I kept myself super, super busy in those days. And because I'd been in this teaching for quite a long time at that point, I used prayer. Not like, oh God, take away the addiction. I turned to my higher self to affirm my wholeness. I know that I am whole and perfect and complete, and I gave myself permission to be free from the addiction. My habit now is simply to forego sugar. Anybody who's ever gone to a meal with me or anything know that I don't eat sugar, and I haven't for over 13 years. And people ask me how? How do you do it? How do you not eat sugar? And you know what my answer is? Pardon me? Yeah, I'm sweet enough already. Oh, I like him. That was better than my punchline. But the truth is, I just don't. I just don't. I was someplace the other day, I swear to God, and they were passing out the gooeyest, Betty, you know this, the gooeyest, chocolatiest, whipped creamiest dessert. And they cut a piece and passed right in front of me, and passed right in front of me, and passed right in front of me, to the point where it went all the way around the table to the person who served it. So it literally went right around the table. And my answer is, I just don't. Period. Now, the reason I tell you that is not to set myself, or something or anything like this, but to tell you that what I realized when I made that decision was that the addiction was obscuring my wholeness. And I wanted to live my life as wholeness to the best of my ability. I wanted to live the teaching that I teach. Here's what Jane Fonda said. The challenge is not to be perfect, it's to be whole. And I changed that a little bit and says we are already whole. Our challenge is to reveal it. Okay? Now, other areas of my life that obscure my wholeness? You bet. I don't weigh 110 pounds. There are things that can replace sugar and alcohol and drugs. I'm open to suggestions, not. But here's the truth. Every day that I am awakening, I strive to reveal more of my wholeness. And as always, when I do a talk like this, or I talk about the kind of the esoteric, theoretical stuff, I want to give you some actual tools that you can use to reveal your wholeness. Otherwise, it's just theory. It's just pretty words. So if you've been coming here for a while, you know and you use some of the ones that I'm talking about. They include come to the center, Come here on Sunday morning, hear about your wholeness, be around people who love you and can see your wholeness. Take classes, take seminars, go to workshops. Even if you don't do it here, you can find them on Meetup, and you can find them online or Facebook, everywhere. That was not the case 30 years ago when I came here. It was like we all piled in to hear something spiritual, something metaphysical. Now it's everywhere. You're so lucky. We're so lucky. Read inspirational things and think about them. Like contemplate. Hang out with like-minded people, not just at the center. Here's a good one. Check in every few hours. Set your clock. Set your alarm. Check in. What am I thinking about? What am I thinking about? What's the tendency of my thoughts right now? And if you don't like the tendency of your thoughts, change them. Meditate. Take Bev's class. Meditate. Learn and use spiritual mind treatment. Affirmative prayer. Don't just like, yeah. Learn and use spiritual mind treatment. Which brings me to another tool that I talk about fairly often, and I've noticed that some of you are doing it, and that is to take the time to be with one of our ministers or one of our practitioners. You know, when I came here, we didn't have practitioners, and we didn't have staff ministers, except it was Reverend Marjorie and me. You all weren't in the habit of it, but I've been talking at you for 6 years. And so now you've kind of developing the habit. I explain, here's what happens, folks. Here's what happens. These people, Marjorie, Pelly, Ron, Leslie in the back, Monica, I think that's who's here today, right? Did I miss anybody? Amy. These people have been trained to see your wholeness when something is obscuring your ability to see it for yourself. And the reason why they are able to do it is because they are not caught up in your BS, your belief systems. They have their own BS going on, but they are not caught up in your BS. So they're able to see beyond it to you, to your wholeness, to your light being. And they speak their word about you seeing your wholeness. And something amazing happens. When someone witnesses you as you begin to believe it for yourself. Because we're all connected. So when one person affirms and sees another, it ups that spiritual vibration. Are you with me? Yeah. Now, these people are licensed professionals. So if you make us, on Sunday, they will treat for you, and that's just like, it's sweet. But if you want to really get to it, make an appointment and sit with them. And they'll charge you a fee because they're professionals. And you are worth it. Find out where I am. Oh, the final tool. This is the one that has made a difference. All of it has made a difference in my life, but this is the one that is making an immediate difference in my life ever since I came up with it. And it's a modification of something that we learned in the Prosperity Plus program this past week. How many of you are in Prosperity Plus? Such a great class. Oh, some people are playing hooky. So what we're doing is that we're working on creating a new personal vision for ourselves. And each person is creating this kind of new, how they're going to see themselves in life. And last week, the instructor, Mary Morrissey, what we do is we watch a video and she explains the lesson. And then we kind of have a discussion about it afterwards. And she posed this question to us as we're working on our vision. If my vision were at least possible, what would I be doing? you to think on that for a second. If my vision that I'm creating of perfect health and love and prosperity and creative self-expression and perfect health, if it were at least possible, how would I be showing up in the world? How would I act? What would I do? How would I think? How would I walk in my life? It's a powerful question. So, to close today's talk, I'm going to take us through a brief visualization with a modified version of that question. So I'm going to invite Steve to come up. I emailed him yesterday. I said, would you noodle? Would you noodle behind the meditation? He says, noodling is my specialty. So if you would close your eyes. For the next few moments, there's nothing you need to be doing, no place you need to be. And just begin to focus on your breathing. And feel yourself melting ever so gently. And allow everything that you're thinking about to just fade away. And now bring to your mind a picture, a feeling, a color, a word that symbolizes what wholeness means to you. Perhaps a full moon, an ocean, a mountain, a sunrise or a sunset, the face of a child. What does wholeness feel like, look like to you? And now picture or feel yourself as wholeness, perfect, whole, complete. Nothing broken, nothing damaged, nothing impaired. Pure spirit, pure light, pure essence. And from this place, ask yourself these questions. As I come to believe that I am whole, perfect, and complete, what shall I do? How shall I act? What decision shall I make? How shall I walk through life? Take a few moments to allow yourself to live as wholeness. This is your true nature. This is who you are in the spiritual realm and in the material realm. All you need to do is allow it to be revealed. And now allow yourself to begin to focus back up. Holding on to that revelation of wholeness. As Rumi says, don't go back to sleep. Don't go back to sleep. Begin to feel yourself in the room again. Wiggle your fingers and toes. And when you're ready, open your eyes. And just look around the room and see the wholeness in others as you're feeling it within yourself. You should see what I'm seeing. It's pretty special. Take a deep breath. And so it is. So, thank you. Thank you. So when I let Amy know what my topic is, she comes back always. Girl just doesn't miss. She comes back with the songs that she thinks will work. And usually the only change I make is the order that I'd like to have them. So the song that she's about to sing for you is an original, and listen to the words. It's pretty special. Please welcome Amy Bishop and our band.
It's the cry of a baby, the whisper in prayer, it's voices and laughter. It's a wind in the stillness and the spaces between. It's a spark of fire. Love, love, love. It's a seed, a flower, a butterfly's wing, a call and an answer. Ooh. It's a breath, a stirring, the pulse in my vein moves in as and through me. Love, love, is a knowing. It's our only design. It's eternally growing. Love, it's peace, it's power, connects all to one, has no end, no beginning. Ooh. It's receiving and giving. I release, I let go. Divine shrug of the shoulder. Thank you very much.
Amy Bishop, Oliver, Steve, Louise, Lisa. The hopeful sinners. One of these days you're going to change it or not. Yeah? Are you full? Are you complete? Are you whole? Yes, indeedy. Would our ushers come forward, please?